In this video, I want to talk about using groups of selectors and also descendant selectors because they're very similar and they're often confused. So what I've done is I've taken my website template, and this should look familiar. Northwest State Community College, Computer Programming, Associate of Applied Science. This was our hands-on evaluation last quarter. The only thing is I copied and pasted the code for this into my template. I did not get rid of some of this formatting for unordered and ordered lists that I used before, which is why I have stars here for my bullet points, because those were still set there. So we're going to go ahead and leave that. Let's talk about groups of selectors first. So suppose I want to change all of my headings to use a different color. I have 4 different headings here. We can see in my code, I have an H1, H4, H4. Is there one more somewhere? Oh, 3 H4s. Okay, I have H1s and H4s. Or maybe I want to change all of my headings, even if I'm going to change them all just in case I ever add an H2 and H3 in here. So on my style sheet, rather than doing this, H1, let's set the color to fire brick. Kind of a brownish red color, I believe. And it changed my H1. Now I could copy this again and change it to H4 and put an H4 down here and put that code again. But that's kind of a waste of space since we've already typed it once. We can separate with a comma and put an H4 here. And this basically says put all H1s and H4s get whatever styles we put there. Let's do that. So there's my H4s. This computer programming must be a different one. Yes, it's an H3. If I want to include this H3, I can add it to my list. So H1s, H3s, H4s. And now they all get that fire brick color. So that is a group of selectors. Now we can still have another section that's just, let's do H4s. We can still have an own section just for H4s and put additional styles for our H4s. Maybe we want the font family to be sans serif for the H4. So H4s are now sans serif. So I can use the group selectors to apply things to the group and then still do specific things for the individual ones that I want to be different if I want them to have a different font. I don't know why I'd want to do that. Generally, my headings should probably all have the same, close to the same font styles. But I'm just showing you that it can be done. All right, so if that's a group of selector, then what's a descendant selector? Type that word out on here. D-E-S-C-E-N-D-A-N-T. Descendant selector. What is a descendant selector? It's a selector that's nested within another selector. So let me do this. Let's change so over here I have some emphasis on this. Let's add some emphasis to this H3 up here. So inside this heading, I'm going to add some emphasis. So I have italics here, and I have italics down here. Apparently I didn't close it. I did not close it because it all turned to italics. There we go. I have some italics here, and I have some italics down here. Now, if I went over here, first of all, let's get rid of my, I want to get rid of my colors for this demo. So if I went over here and said, hey, I want these words, lead or senior program data process manager, this emphasized text, I want emphasized text to not only be italics, but I also want it to be firebrick in color. Look what happened. It did put my emphasized text in firebrick, but I didn't really want it to be in the heading. I only wanted firebrick to be the color for emphasized text that was in a regular old paragraph. So what I can do, a descendant selector basically does this. Hey, inside a paragraph, if there's emphasized text, paint it firebrick. Use the firebrick for the color. Okay, so this only applies to the EM elements that are within paragraphs. Notice it's a lot like this, except it doesn't have commas. So a descendant selector says, if you have a paragraph with this inside it, use this format. So let's save that, refresh it, and now you can see only the emphasized text within this paragraph gets the firebrick color. It left this other emphasized text alone. So you can specify formatting for a certain tag that is inside another tag, or a certain element that's inside another element. So make sure you understand the difference between a group of selectors, which has commas between the element names, and a descendant selector, which has a space between the element names.